name's James. I'm going to take you through a Tai Chi form practice. What we'll be focusing on today is the second basic posture in Tai Chi, is the T stance. But we'll first begin with breathing. As we start the Tai Chi practice, you can start with your feet a little splayed out. Shift the body weight, step out. That's more of a traditional step out in starting a form practice. And that you want to have your knees slightly bent, the knees directed over the toes, and the shoulders relaxed. Now, before we actually begin with the actual first posture, Wuchi, which we've done in the first video, so if you go look, I'm trying to sequence this where there are 3 basic postures, and then the 4th video is we put all the postures together in some walking. Tai Chi walking is fun, it's great, you can do it pretty much anywhere, anytime. But as we do some breathing, we just begin with the knees bent, shoulders relaxed, and you can take the hands now. Traditionally, if you're a male, you would put the right hand over the abdomen with the thumb and the navel. If you're a female, you would put the left hand there. That's just how it's traditionally done in some practice forms. No one's ever emphasized it where it's absolutely mandatory, but that's the preference for some teachers. Now again, I'll advocate eyes closed as you do this, and this could potentially improve interoception. So you begin to have a few moments where you're in chair of your internal body states. That inhale and exhale is like a guidepost. So in placing the hand here, it's where the belly can extend and go back a bit in contraction. This is the heart center, the Dan Tien, your elixir field. This is what's thought as the main chi flow can go out throughout the body. I won't necessarily talk a lot about the chi itself. It's somewhat esoteric. I just want to introduce you to the form practice, and there are many, many steps you can take. There's many, many teachers and things you can explore. There's fantastic channels to even look at. I'm just bringing you the very basics, because in a situation where you're just maybe in need of a little more meditative practice. I'm bringing the hands down, still keeping that breathing. You can place the hands like this for a few moments, like your elbows are in your back pockets. And this just, again, reemphasizes keeping the back straight so you don't feel like you're collapsing and leaning forward. As we read so much, staring at screens and whatnot, slightly hunch forward, driving, doing certain things that are constantly rounding the back. So this just reminds us again, just have the back straight with the knees bent. From the side, once again, I'll iterate. Knees bent, spine straight. Now again, if I have a little lean forward here, it just might be a little pitch forward, but again, as I sit lower, it's just consciously in my mind to keep the back straight, knees bent. It's a standing sit. This first Wuchi is a standing sit, a horse riding step. If I didn't emphasize that, the actual name is called the horse riding sit. So it's essentially giving work here to what are called your vastius, and what the vastius muscles, your quadriceps, they insert into the tendons of your knees. They become tendons, so they become weak for a lot of us. So this is how actually giving the behind here, where your hamstrings run into the knees, some rest, because we can unconsciously constantly just not let our balance stay even, and allowing this to get some work. So if you feel some shakiness in the legs right now, a little quakiness, excellent. Now if you can bring, I just give you this iteration of the wrists. Now this is the way to open up even these joints in certain ways, where you just take the hands. And this is always that little warm up you might give to yourself. I'll always go over the first basic go through. I have a certain routine I'm showing you that I usually go through for myself. So I'm just sharing with you my basic warm-up routine. So you're turning your hands, like you're spreading the fingertips apart for a moment, like you're getting the sand or water out of your hands, running it off. And again, I turn a little faster. It should be slow. I emphasize just this little slowness to begin with. Just a little turning and stretching for a moment, turning, like you're holding a little cup and then turning it, letting it go, stretch it, like that. And always with that, again, if you need to ever go back to the form of the breath, placing the hands here again is never bad. If you feel you got to shake out your legs a little bit, close your stance a bit, because all this is getting worked. If you feel this, please let me know if you really feel this stance working for you in a way that has you feeling a little challenged. Because I can go back to the wider Wuchi. I have a little knee issue that I have to take care of, so I might be gingerly when it comes to my right knee in ways, but you can always improve these areas just by taking Wu Chi. This is maybe what I left out of the first one. This is just a little turning and twisting of the waist. This is just a little emphasis on, it's another classic in that. Just turning a little bit and getting that little twist. Turning the waist and twisting is just key for your internal health. The whole idea of internal chronic diseases tend to settle into these areas. So by doing this, just a little turning and twisting gives the vas, what's called your visceral fascia. You got to picture your organs in your body are not just hanging there unexposed. They are wrapped, and what your nature and our bodies essentially like are double bags. They like double bagging. So what in between that double bag is a sliding, it's more fascia. It's sliding fascia that glides. So your body needs to slide and glide. So by doing these little bitty exercises like this, and giving a little tap to your back, also gives a little tap to the kidneys for a moment as you twist and turn for a few moments. And now to do this further is to get a little wider stance. So then you can start to shift a little bit more and turn. So now I'm really shifting the weight and turning the waist. Shifting the weight and turning the waist. Completely relaxed. So to emphasize is the 5 basic concepts in Tai Chi. The 5 basic concepts in Tai Chi basically run from being completely relaxed as you practice. The second one we're going to come to in just a moment. Now I skipped to the third one because the third one is the back is straight. So as I'm leaning, I'm not falling forward too much. I'm not trying to do it like a baseball pitcher and throw my weight yet. There are moves in Tai Chi that allow you to get that shift, but what we're doing is just turning with the back straight. And then I'm covering the 4th basic concept is shifting my weight mostly to this leg and turning my waist. And as I shift back this way, I'm shifting my weight and turning my waist. And when you do that, you're essentially making this the yang leg and this yin. So as I shift, more of the body weight is in this leg, just a little bit more than average. That's all it needs. That's yin and yang, the separation of yin and yang. That's the 2nd basic concept, but we're going to enhance it more in a few moments. Just to do that. So as we bring it back, I'd like to cover just this last part to get you through the 2nd basic concept. And then we can do a little circling to finish with it. So with your feet basically straight, or again, let me just go over this real quick. You are welcome to also try this. There's another warm-up I love. Because now this does encompass now. The 5th basic concept is the fair lady's wrists. So the hands are not stiff, but they're not inattentively, you're paying attention to them. And it's this nice little shift. So as I come up, if you remember in the first lesson, as I'm sinking down with the back straight, and like I'm scooping a lot of water up and dropping it over my head. So I'm now opening up these larger hip joints, shoulder joints, getting a nice little release. And things just get pent up. You just got to picture doing these little moves. Now I'm really straight in the legs. I'm giving a nice little squeeze here for a moment as I'm taut, and then I come down into this, and it's almost like a quicker little stretch. So your fascia also needs little quicker stretches than just slow and long. They need little quicker moves, but nothing too abrupt. You're not trying to throw anything around. You're not throwing your weight around here. You're learning to figure out how this balances. Now, and you can do the little shift. If you remember the first lesson, this is called snake creeps down. So the back is straight, the fingertips are made into that line, just like a little, or even like a bird's beak in some respects. But the hand is down here, and then you bring it in. Back up. So you come up, and you feel it, and then you're shifting again. Back straight. It's also called squatting single whip. Squatting single whip. Or snake creeps down. So a couple more of these. Because after a while, you'll start to develop your own little toolbox of moves that you'll appreciate and like, and things that will hopefully challenge you. You want to do the things that really start to give you a little bit of instability at first and go, huh, that's a little funny. And for a lot of it, for me, you change. Came through my right knee. I had a massive right knee injury many years ago. This became my therapy in a lot of ways. The 2nd basic posture in Tai Chi has to start with your knees, feet about shoulder blade width. The knees are bent, back is straight, completely relaxed. Hands up like you're hugging the tree again. Hugging a tree is good, holding a big ball. Energetically, there's all these kind of other things you could do to warm up, but I just bring you this just standing sit. And you're welcome to close your eyes when we get back to still points. It gives you that introspection of how your internal body weight, not internal body weight, your internal body state is kind of going for you. It's the key to awareness. Now, as we shift a little bit, I'm going to take my body and turn it to this side. Now I'm completely shifting the weight to this leg, not to the degree where it should not feel like it's too abrupt. And what I mean is that I'm trying to turn my hips and my shoulders in this direction, and then you're really starting to cut the circulation for a few moments. So we're not going to stay here very long. I want you to feel it to a degree where like, yeah, that is clearly there. Now I can demonstrate this to you by lifting my leg up and down, lifting my leg up and down. But if it gets a little too much, I just turn a little bit to face this way more. So I've turned a little bit to this way, and you'll immediately feel less pressure. Like, oh, that's not as bad. Yes, just for a few moments, if you find it way too difficult to maintain this, because this is called the T stance. Now, what I mean by T stance, you can bring the hands down. If I bring my feet right together, boom, they're in the shape of a T. So that is the T stance. And most of the body weight is in this leg. This is yang, this is yin. So I can lift up yin, not a problem. Now, as you hold the ball, let's shift back to the center for a moment, just like that. Because now what you're actually doing physiology-wise is creating an exchange of blood flow. So a little shift, and go the other leg. So now the body weight is more here. Now again, I have a little trickiness in this corner of my right knee. So I have to be very delicate. I'm not here to show you anything like off, like I got to lift the leg up real fast to show you, but you get a sense. This leg is clearly yin, this leg is yang. Now you shift back. In a moment, we'll flow with it too. We're going to finish up with a little circling, but I want you to feel this last part of this where. So notice my hands now. Now I'm holding the ball, but now drop the left hand back to where the palm of your hand is right in line with the elbow. So the palm of the left hand is in line with my right elbow. And my fingertips are directed in that energetic direction. So I would turn in like that. And this is called ward off right. You shift back to the center. You can come to the middle. Just for a moment. Let it shift for a second. And then we'll shift to the left. After a while, we go side to the side. But for a moment, you really are shifting the weight very properly. And then you go to ward off left. And again, you can easily lift the leg up and notice that you are getting the body weight, shifting the weight. The T stance. This is called separation of yin and yang. Now you shift without turning or stopping in the center, I should say. Hands down. Come back up. Come back down. And this is where you start to feel a sense of flow. You can flow from side to the side. The separation of yin and yang. So this is yang, this is yin. You're separating yin and yang. So the 5 basic concepts we are essentially doing pretty much throughout this practice. Completely relaxed. Separation of yin and yang. Back is straight. Shifting the weight, turning the waist. Number 5, fair lady's wrists. These are the 5 basic concepts within the first 2 postures. We'll come back to the center. Arms crossed. That. Or again. Even just like you're again. This is Wu Chi. So you're in Wu Chi, sitting like this, standing sit. And keep you finished with a little circling. This is also nice, like the first lesson I showed you. You take your right hand all the way to the back. And turn, drop the hand down and just twist. This is what we call Tai Chi circling. Shifting and turning. Shifting and turning. And then you can bring the left hand up. So they're basically, I've turned that direction and then come back. And I'm watching the fingertips of it. Shifting, and I've turned, and then shifted back. And this will lead us into the 3rd basic posture in the next lesson. And then leads towards Tai Chi walking. So this is something you can do anytime, anywhere. If you have to be stuck in confined spaces, that's absolutely one of the exercises you can do anytime, anywhere, and meditate. Concentrate, meditate. So now we will close the lesson. And just once again, breathing. Completely relaxed. Tai Chi is an internal martial art. I encourage you to explore other sources. There are tremendous amount of information out there. Namaste.